I don't see United winning this at all. In fact, I see a very unlucky draw for Everton.
A
United
draw
cannot.
where you think that they should win. Is that what you're saying?
And like honestly, man, if he goes and beats Everton 4-1, unsurprising. What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Pass podcast with me, Suddy, and this is Shyam. And as always, previewing the weekend of 6th November for a couple of cracking games. How are you, Shyam?
Yeah, good. The US is about to blow up, but apart from that, I'm fine, completely fine.
Before you watch the video, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're growing channels always, and we love to keep football simple and love to talk about opinions. So
If you're
like
American, and I don't care who you voted for, but if you did not vote, shame on you.
Use this as an escape for American. Talking about football and
okay, that's the last one mention of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Except it's crazy. I'm not going to spout my political views here, but it is kind of crazy seeing the bastion of democracy kind of being in such disarray. But well wishes to all Americans out there, I guess. Okay, so fuck it. Let's talk about something a bit more happy. Liverpool. So we'll just dive straight into it, man. Liverpool, Man City, big game. I think Liverpool have shown now that life without Van Dijk is no problem at all. 5-0 yesterday against 2 days ago against Atalanta was 2 days ago against Atalanta. Incredible win. Everyone, all the big stars score. Mane, Salah, Jota, hat-trick. I'm impressed. And they're just showing that they I think this bunch of players for Liverpool right now, when they lost the Premier League 2 years ago by a point and they won the Champions League, they were like, fuck this, we have to go win the league. Everyone's kind of laughing at them now when they lost Van Dijk, and they just like, for me, I think they're just going, nah, you can laugh at us all you want. We're not relying on him, although he is the best player in the world. We're not relying on the best player in the world. I mean, that's a big statement, man. You look at the way Ronaldo left Real Madrid, and Real Madrid just kind of, even though they won the league, they're not what they used to be. But Liverpool is a unit. So yeah, sorry, I've interrupted you there, but go on.
No, I think it's a very valid point. We were talking about Liverpool needing to show some resilience and grit. They have not played at their free-flowing best, but they've got the wins, and they're clear at the top of the table now. And finally in the Champions League, you take that every day of the weekend. Atalanta's a very good side. Quarter-finalists last season, love to attack. And yeah, some of the finishes from Jota in particular were fantastic. They proper deserve that 5-0 win.
Yeah. So Man City, on the other hand, 1 second here. Let's do some screen sharing. It's a little bit of a trial here. So Man City on the hand. I mean, relatively good form. They're pulling out they've had 2 draws in the last 8 games of all competitions, but they're just not. If you're looking at the scores there, so they've only beaten Marseille. They've done well in the Champions League here, scoring 9 goals in 3 games, but just generally not scoring many goals.
You look at that league form there. You look at the last 4 league games, 1-1-1-1. That's, they've done very well in the EPL Cup. They've done very well in the Champions League, but lots of ones there in the league. Haven't really got into gear yet, and they've looked like that in the league. They've looked like threatening at times without really that punch that you expect from them.
But it's not for lack of shots or anything. Like, I mean, last week Ramsdale here, it was 16 shots. Ramsdale had a blinder if you watch the game. I mean, I know you did, sorry, but if one were to watch the game, same here with West Ham as well. It's not that they're not taking shots, but I think it comes down to the mentality of players now. They know the defense is not what it used to be with that company. I think they're definitely feeling a bit more reserved with going forward after the first goal, and also with keepers making good saves. You always feel a bit apprehensive with the last 10, 15 to go, which where Man City historically has scored many goals in like the last 10 to 20 minutes. They've kind of put opponents away the way United does, very intimately, score that like a flurry of goals. But I don't think Man City, the way they are now, up for it. However, coming to this game now, how do you think Man City approaches this game?
It's interesting. I think when you play at a high tempo, you can, and that's what United did a lot. They played under a high tempo, and they wore teams out and then could get them in the last 5-10 minutes. City were doing that at their best. I think they're missing 2 things. One, they're missing Aguero. His goal scoring record is he's got the same goals per game ratio as Thierry Henry. I mean, that's phenomenal. He's probably a bit patchier than Henry. He tends to get more clumps than Henry, who's a bit more consistent. But to be something like 2 goals in every 3 games, it's phenomenal. And they haven't replaced that. And the second thing, I think, with Company, yeah, I mean, he's a very good defender, Company, but I think it's his leadership that they're missing. The players like Company and Silva have moved on. The guys like De Bruyne and Sterling need to become the team's leaders, and they're not quite there yet. It's not to say they can't get there. They're just not there at this point in time. They're a bit, as well as they've done in the Champions League, it's not a particularly hard group. And even though the game's at home, I mean, smart money's on Liverpool for this one, and that sees City in a bit of spot of bother if they're going to lose at home to Liverpool.
I have to agree with you there, man. I think I don't think Man City's not a favorite, but I think with the sides are weakened, Liverpool has. I mean, both sides are relatively weakened. Man City being transitioning, no Aguero, Jesus just hasn't really scored the way he should be, and Liverpool, they're not really. I mean, we thought they were weakened, but they're not. And I said it last week. All they do is outscore opponents, and like they did in a way, they did exactly that. You know, Atlanta, you wouldn't have put it past Atlanta to score 4 goals, and they went and scored 5. Liverpool, they're in great form. You know, it doesn't make sense. I know 5-0 are romping, but there's no way you would have overcome 5-0, and the strikers are just doing the job of Van Dijk, almost just fucking putting the knife in, twisting the sword. So yeah, I got to go with Liverpool for this. I think Liverpool are going to take. I'm not going to take a conservative approach. If this was the game after Everton, it would have been different. I think Nathaniel Phillips is going to have. He's grown in confidence. I've seen the highlights, and he did put a foot wrong. Not that he had a foot to put wrong as well. Ake and Ruben Diaz. Is Ruben Diaz's first foray into world class opponents. This is not Aubameyang alone up front. This is the front three of a generational front three. So I got to go for Liverpool here, 2-0 myself. What about you?
Yeah, 2-0 or 2-1. I think they'll score enough to beat Liverpool. City, I think, just purely because they're at home, I think they might have a goal in them. I think they will go hard at Phillips. They'll see him as the weak link. Guardiola will set the team up to try and do that. I'd like to see a bit more Raheem Sterling on the right side for City. He's playing a lot on the left. I'd like to see him on the right a bit more. They've got Cancelo, I think he's very right-footed. Or he's very one-footed. So I'd like to see them do something a little different. Guardiola tends to do something different in big games as well. We've spoken before how that can be negative. He might try a bit too hard, but I would go with Liverpool. I think they'll score 2 and they'll either keep a clean sheet or they'll concede 1. But I see them winning this.
And I guess do you see? I kind of do see Pep overthinking this as he did very famously against
the Lyon in the Champions League.
Le Lyon game. Sorry, I was going to say Red Bull Leipzig. Le Lyon game. I do see him overthinking this a bit. Don't be surprised if you don't see a De Bruyne in there, but don't be surprised if I don't know whoever doesn't play. If he goes with a change in formation, something like that. So I think we're both on the same page here. Very bit boring, but I think it's. I kind of think it's that obvious at the minute for Liverpool, Man City. I mean,
it's a chance for Liverpool to set up their season. They are playing a lot of big teams, but they're a big team, and they'll fancy their chances in each one of those games. And if they do well in the next 4 or 5, that really sets them up.
Absolutely. So let's move on now, I guess, to 2 teams that have fallen from graces. Everton trying to climb back up a little bit. They have kind of patchy form.
Dropped to 4 crisis for Everton.
Look, patchy. They're still scoring goals. Well, they have. I guess they had scored goals, and they're kind of putting a few past themselves. They've lost 2 of the last 3, drawn 1, kind of dropped off form. I think they're going to want to come harder. United. Look, they've had the same form as United in the last 5 games. Surprisingly, it's just how they started. I guess the 2 games before that. But I don't see at the minute. I don't see many ways United could come out of this funk. The good thing is for Everton, I guess, is they don't have. They don't have Digne, Richarlison are not playing, and I think James is not playing. What do you think of the game?
United, funnily enough, if you look there, I think they won 2 of their 6 games. Those 2 games are the away games they played. So they played 4 at home. They've only got 1 point from 4 home games. They've actually won their away games. They didn't deserve to win against Brighton. They played well enough against Newcastle to run away with it. Playing away might suit them. It's funny saying that in an era where there's no crowds, but it's more the home form in the league that they really seem to be struggling with. I think Everton, like their last 3 results, they won their first 4 and they've only got 1 point from the last 3, and that depth is kind of coming home to roost, that lack of depth. So Ancelotti's going to have to get something out of these guys to get a result. United tend to lose when we expect them to win, and they tend to win when we expect them to lose. So if I was a gambling man, I would stay well away from this game.
Yeah,
I do see United edging it. I think that they will find something that they seem to tend to do in bigger games. I just think that it's very emblematic of United at the moment that they can get really good individual results, but they're not going on those runs. That they're not showing a level of consistency. That's going to get them anywhere close to winning the league. Their best chance will come of the cups because of that inconsistency.
Just to kind of highlight the problems that Everton have at the minute: Mason Holgate, Seamus Coleman, Richard Leeson, Dinia's back next week, James Rodriguez. You could say 50-50 at this minute. Andre Gomez has been a key player for them, all gone. I think United are quite okay.
James and Gomez are keys for them. That's big. So even if they play, they're probably not at 100%.
Yeah, Anthony Martial is back in the Premier League, so that's good. He didn't play against Chelsea. He didn't play against Arsenal as well. Hopefully Alex Telles is not back as well. So Everton's definitely in the...
They're saying 2 weeks for Telles. So.
Yeah, he'll be back next week. So he was last week, so 2 weeks from there. No, it's not a good moment for both clubs. I don't see United winning this at all. In fact, I see a very unlucky draw for Everton. United cannot...
You think that they should win? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, very unlucky draw, I guess. That's the best way to put it. Someone like Martial or Rashford scoring a goal, 1-1, maybe 2-2. I don't think Everton's a superior side by any means. I just think United are just so low on confidence. Poch making those comments in midweek. You can say we're completely focused on the game.
I'm sorry, I've been a bit out of it this week. Very US election focused.
So after the game, the Istanbul game, well, I guess that was a Champions League, so that's why you probably missed it. But no, so it was Monday Night Football where he said he was talking about De Gea, Greenwood. I think he talked a bit about Bruno as well, and he came out and said, "I'm ready to return to management." And that just kind of fuels the speculation. And then today, sources have come out of Manchester saying the board are completely backing Ollie through this crisis. So, but that's sources, is not the board. I mean, the board's never going to come out and say it. Even if you could fucking put a gun to the head, this board especially would never say it. So I just, because of all this negativity, and like, honestly, man, if he goes and beats Everton 4-1, unsurprising at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the players, I've said this before, United have one of the best. I think if you would tell us there, United have one of the best 11s in the world. 11s. Now, that's just tangible, kind of qualitative characteristics. The intangibles, the leadership, the hard work, the heart, very questionable across patches of, at moments in time. So I'm not going United for this one for me.
Yeah, those intangibles are big for United. And Pochettino's come out and said that sort of stuff. This is a test of their minerals, to use the expression.
I mean, you look at United from 06 to 08, they were the best team in the world, especially 07, 08, before Barcelona kind of took over. Darren Fletcher in the middle against Michael Essien. Had him every time. How is that? It's hard. That's all it is. You had Ferguson, who probably loved him a bit too much, but at the same time, Essien, classy, athletic against pale ulcerative colitis Darren Fletcher. Darren Fletcher wins every time,
Yeah, Scotsman. It's a Scottish thing. Ferguson loved having
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going for 2-2. What about yourself?
I'm going 2-1. I think United will nick it. I think they'll be lucky to nick it, but I think they'll nick it.
Fair enough. Okay, so should we move on to, did you want to talk about Villa Arsenal first?
Yeah, sure. I was thinking the Leicester game. Who are they playing?
Oh, sorry, excuse me, Leicester Wolves. Great game.
Wolves, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just get the table up.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of watching Leicester games. They're a bit boring for me, but you got to just commend them. They know how to get results, and this is
they do.
Business. And they have the second best goal difference in the league, so you can't call them boring. They put 5 past Man City. They're very clinical. Like they talk about managers like Allardyce, they talk about managers like Mourinho. people say they're defensive. I don't think they're defensive. I think they're pragmatic, and I think Rodgers has become very pragmatic with this Leicester team. Um, Being Rangers manager as well, Rangers is probably the hardest job in the world because you're expected to win every game, and then the game the game you need to win the most is probably the only 50-50 game that you got, which is against Celtics. So,
Yeah.
like he's developed a pragmatism, I think. But he wasn't the most pragmatic manager at Liverpool, but I think he's developed that pragmatism, and it's coming through. He's done a sensational job with Leicester, really. Um, we all thought they'd disappear after winning the title, but he's made them more consistent. They've done very
I have
well. They are over reliant on Vardy, but it's not the worst player in the world to be over reliant on.
I have a question for you. Just keep going, but I'm just going to calculate this right now. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Okay. Um, would you put Jamie Vardy on the same scale as Alan Shearer?
I think at his best, he'd be pretty bloody close. Alan
No,
Shearer.
I'm not talking about his best. No, I'm not talking about at his best. Like, I think that's not the right. I don't think for me that's not the right way to look at it. I'm talking purely on his impact at the club and just his lethality as a striker. I don't, as the best English strikers ever played in the game, in the league. Sorry,
We both probably missed Alan Shearer at his best. He was at his
Yeah.
best at Blackburn when he helped them win the title. We remember him more from Newcastle, but at Blackburn he was at another level. He got quite a bad injury and lost a touch of pace, and so he became But Alan Shearer at his best at Blackburn was completely, utterly another level. Like that freaky Thierry Henry level that you associate with. He came down from that after the injury just because he wasn't as quick. Jamie Vardy, I think at his best he's close to Shearer, but the longevity of Shearer really stands out. I know Vardy's had a good 5 or 6 years, but Shearer's had a good 10 to 15.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I was just thinking. I think the romance behind this story puts a lot of kind of that validity to him being called the greatest English striker of all time. And when I say striker, I mean a number 9, like a real out and out striker. I guess it's every.
Who said that?
No, me. I'm talking about me.
Oh, okay.
One of the greatest, if not the greatest story of all time. I'm not saying he's nowhere near the skillfully or by awards or by trophies. He's nowhere near the best. I'm just saying someone to keep doing it week in, week out. Won't win a Premier League with Leicester 2 seasons out of coming out from the Championship. Yeah. So it's just and I guess that team as well had so many misfits. Drinkwater, Simpson, Robert Huth, not so much Wes Morgan, but the guy Hamsik, Marek Hamsik, Riyad Mahrez, Kante, like. Yeah, and I guess for me, Jamie Vardy is kind of the face of that whole team. Him and Ranieri, I guess. Ranieri is such a character. Maybe I'm misspeaking here. I just think Vardy, he's done many favors for himself to be considered, one of the best to do it. Looking at.
I'll just say one thing. The definition
go on.
often comes with being a young prodigy and being at the big clubs and coming through that way. He didn't take that typical journey. He came from the lower league. So he's
exactly.
I think is he the one who's got the record for playing in all 4 divisions? There's someone who's
no, you're thinking of Etherington.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but
scoring in like every competition in England, from every professional competition in England.
Yeah, but because Vardy's story is atypical, I think it does take a bit of the gloss off what you would. What you would it's a different depiction of greatness. Like you look at Gerrard coming through the youth academy, becoming a world superstar. That's what we tend to think of when we think of great players. And Vardy, because Vardy didn't do that, there is kind of people look at him differently as a result of it.
All right, here's a stat for you. Someone who's played in the Champions League, UEFA Cup, FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League, Championship, and Championship playoff. There's only one player to ever do that.
I don't know.
Steve Finnan,
the Liverpool.
Steve Finnan, Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Your mic's gone off a bit there. Sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, mic's better now. Okay. Your mic was gone off a little bit there. Okay, so just to agree, we kind of hopped on Leicester there, but Wolves, we said this, I guess around the Wolves, there was the Fulham game here, that the ascension was to start. I think it has kind of started a little bit. It's gonna be a tough game for them. So very
They're,
simply,
they're only 2 points behind Leicester. They're
yeah,
in.
no, they're not in a bad spot at all. But they just were very stop start. But they
Mhm.
seem to have really kind of got going. Newcastle's always a tricky game to go to,
You
like you
look
said.
at
Yeah,
you
so
look at their record there. Last four results, you got 3 wins and a draw. It might be equal best record in the league, so they've got that momentum behind them. It'd be an interesting one though. Leicester just a tough team to break down.
yeah, yeah.
I see a low
Um,
scoring game.
I just
Whoever
want to see
scores
that
the first
last.
goal will win, type of thing. That's how I see it
I mean,
going.
yeah. Look, yeah. Look, they don't like possession. Wolves likes to play the
32%.
ball around.
They won 4-1 with 32% possession. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and I just want to go and see that Wolves.
It's
Just
completely
generally how Wolves.
contrary to what we're taught as kids. Like the team with more
Yeah,
possession, more
keep
passes
the ball.
in the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're just the anti instinct team, anti logic
Sorry,
team.
I just want to see Wolves' last game, what they did with it, possession wise and shots wise. It'd be a bit of a false metric because they have 10 men, but
Oh, that
yeah, I mean
dismissal was fairly late.
Wolves was the same as well. They less possession, won the game 2-0. They don't like the ball. They like to move the ball as much as possible forward. Very positive front foot football. So yeah, where do you see this game? For me, I'll go first then. I think I'm seeing a 3-1 Leicester. For me,
Okay.
yeah, I'm going 3-1 Leicester. I think Vardy gets two. Being at home as well. I know it doesn't mean much as you say, but what about yourself?
Yeah, interesting. Wolves, they are quite a low scoring team. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see a lot of goals in this game. I see it opening up quite late. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking 1-1. I don't think that one team is going to get on top of the other.
Okay.
Leicester, it's funny that a team with such little possession, because that 32% is quite typical, score as many goals as they do. Like I said, it's against all the logic that we taught as a kid. But
Yeah.
I do think that both teams will. I think the game, if it gets interesting, will get interesting late. But it's not
Yeah.
one that I'll probably deliberately tune into. I don't see a lot of excitement in it because the two teams are quite sort of pragmatic.
Yeah. Fair enough. And the last game we'll kind of cover more deeply is the West Brom Tottenham game. I just want to cover it just purely in the fact I think Spurs have a fair what's the word? Are going to have a fair crack at the title this year. Uh, I don't think Bale has been what everyone thought Bale would be, but who knows? He could grow into the season. I think Mourinho's made them. I
He,
mean,
he needs football. Bells needs like about a month or 2 months of good
yeah.
football before you start seeing him near his best. So the question
Um,
is, how will Mourinho give that to him? So
I think this could be Mourinho's last trick before he goes into international football.
hmm.
When I say last trick, I mean he could be here 3 or 4 years. But if you see a title in those 3 or 4 years, which for me that just shows Mourinho still has it, man, and I think he still does. A few hiccups along the way, but generally speaking, this seems like Poch kind of came to the end of his cycle. We can talk about Poch in a bit, I guess, a bit more what you'd like to see there. But Poch kind of came to the end of the cycle, but Mourinho doesn't seem to have taken them from the start. He's kind of regressed. He regressed a little bit, and he's kind of pushed on from there in terms of the way they can go win games. So I just want to talk about the game because I know I'm pretty sure they're going to win this game. West Brom is sitting third last, 4 points off United. But yeah. I see the win. I just want to know what you thought about Tottenham
Yeah,
potentially going on to
that's what
challenge
brings Tottenham.
again.
Firstly, the top scorers in the league. That front three is absolute world class at its best. Son, Kane, and Bale.
Mm,
They'll make up a three-letter SKB or whatever they call it soon
yeah,
here. Um,
yeah,
but they're a bit over reliant on Son and Kane, but
hmm
I mean, they're not the worst players to be over reliant on.
yeah,
Hugo Lloris is a very underrated goalkeeper. Won the World Cup of
yeah,
France. No one
yeah,
ever seems to mention that. That team, they're probably like a little bit of spark in midfield in terms of creativity. But
hmm
apart from that, I wouldn't be surprised if they could get a title in the next 2 or 3 years. They're
Oh,
sort
you
of
see,
they're banging on the door a lot without really being able to crack it. And Mourinho is the guy who can crack through. So
you say over reliance. I mean, I do agree with you, but which team hasn't over relied on 2 or 3 players? And on that same point, you say lack of creativity. Liverpool have no creativity in midfield last year when they won the league. They do with Thiago this year. They don't have creative midfield. They have a
did,
Firmino drops in as a fake 10, but that's about it.
It's interesting the way that the football's evolved that way, because
Yeah.
you almost, I think it's to do with the way that forwards play now, where when we were young, you look at Beckham and Giggs, they ran wide, they ran at the corner flags and hit crosses in. Whereas nowadays, Sterling plays on the left and runs in, Mahrez plays on the right and runs in, Salah and Mane do the same thing. So that's changed, and it's made the forwards more creative. And the game is now, the two most important players in the team tend to be what we call the 7 and the 11, those wide,
the two wingers,
left attackers. And the striker tends to be a bit like that Firmino, false nine type of player. Even Guardiola did that in Barcelona. After Eto'o and Ibrahimovic left, he moved Messi into the centre and played him as a false nine. Alexis Sanchez was the one who was on the right flank for a while, and Dani Alves teared up the right flank himself as well. So that the way that it's illustrative of the way that football's changed, and you try and create that sort of solid base in midfield. And a lot of players, like guys like Grealish, for example, he probably would be a number 10 if he played 20 years ago, but now he's a guy who plays on the left and attacks. So it's interesting that Tottenham do have that. Or maybe I'm just being a bit old-fashioned, but I do like seeing creative plays in central positions.
Yeah, and I think Kane for me is what Firmino, they think Firmino is, but his assisting ability, his vision. Paul Scholes said it really well. He said when strikers are that good, or when you have that good of a connection with a striker, all you do is look in the eyes. He said he had the best connection with with Louis Saha. He said he never talked to Louis Saha. Louis Saha's English wasn't that good either. He would look at Louis Saha's eyes and know exactly what to do. And I think Kane and Son have that connection. And Kane could just drop into number 10, lay down his career as a proper number 10 if the game ever evolves again to be kind of the Ozil, Tony Cruz kind of number 10. But
it's
yeah, look, I think
the way that he developed himself, Harry Kane. Like he started as a goal scorer, and then he added the string where he comes deep, gets the ball, knocks it wide, and then runs and gets in the box and becomes it. So he's like a 9 and a 10 at the same time. Yeah. I don't want to say because I don't like that expression, but he's a 10 and then he's a 9.
I'll make this comparison, but I remember watching old Glenn Hoddle videos when he played for Spurs, and how comfortable Hoddle was on the ball. I remember our uncle saying that when you're able to get the ball, put it down, put your foot over it, like your studs on the ball. And Harry Kane does that. He's so comfortable on the ball for a kind of out and out poaching striker. You don't really see that very often. So yeah, look, I think it's going to be a hammering here, 2-0 or an easy win at least, 2-0, 3-0 kind of situation. I think you'd be in the same boat, yeah.
Yeah, I go there. It'd be something nil. I'm thinking it could even be larger than that, but I'll say 3.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. If this turned up 7-0 in the morning, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised the way it go. Oh, fucking well. Yeah, and I tell you what, it'll turn up 7-0 and they still wouldn't have counted Wisconsin yet. On that note, we kind of tried this current affairs thing. So what do you think of Poch going over, and do you think it's the right time for Poch to go over to United?
The issue with United, I mean, they keep changing managers and it's not working. I'm a fan of Ollie. I know that he's made mistakes, but I think he's last season he got the absolute maximum he could out of that team. And all of a sudden you're 10 games into a new season and it's Ollie out. I don't get that. I don't think the problem is the manager. The problem is there's something not quite right with the playing group. Maybe it's the deadwood there. Maybe it's the lack of depth and the pressure on the senior players to restore Man United's glory. There's something there that's not quite right. If everybody was like Bruno, it'd be great. I think his mentality is world class. But no one else really seems to be at that level. There's guys where you look at them, like guys like Luke Shaw, and you're wondering, he's got another level, but where is it? And there's a whole bunch of players at United who are quite like that.
I think a couple of players have to go. I don't think Pogba is a virus. I just think he's good enough for the club at the minute. The team seem more harmonious when he doesn't play. When I say harmonious, I mean again not emotionally. I'm talking about the chemistry of the team. Yeah, you see Donny van de Beek, Mata and Fernandez play when Pogba's not there. It's a different animal. Pogba is a good player, but I think I saw this in Stratford Paddock. But he's a French nanny. That's what he is. He's an outstanding footballer. He's a baller. But is he the thing we thought he was? I mean, it's been fifth season now.
He's 27.
I don't think so.
He's not going to change. So you have to decide, is this the player that we going to have in the club for the next 5 years, or are we going to sell him? But
Yeah.
what are you seeing of him is not going to suddenly change. He's not going to suddenly become Roy Keane or Paul Scholes. This is what he's going to be.
Now, answering my own question, just because this is my opinion, is that would I like Poch at United? I would love Poch at United. Should he replace Ollie? No, he shouldn't replace Ollie, because I think Poch will come over and realize, fuck, I'm not getting as I want to get either.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, there's no one who could replace Ollie that would do a better job at the minute. Maybe we'll get the wins like against Istanbul. Maybe we'll get the Arsenal wins, but it inevitably regresses when you realize that the board doesn't support the manager anymore.
The board's aim is to make money, not to win titles. Yeah. The financial outlay to finish third or fourth versus the financial outlay to finish first or second. It's just not something that interests them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry, I think someone knocked on my door. Yeah. Do you have any other closing thoughts before we finish up?
Not really. It's City versus Liverpool is a big game. Really looking forward to it. I think it will be a good game. But I think Liverpool are just they don't seem they hiccup slightly without Van Dijk, but I think they've got their stride back, and City are in transition, so I do think they'll take it out. But interesting set of fixtures. Is there an international break after this?
There is.
Yeah. So we'll see how the games go. We'll do our wrap up, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, player of the week.
Player of the week. I'm gonna go. Sorry.
No, so you can get those games up to remind you.
Sure. I was gonna say Phil Jones, but I won't. I'm gonna go with Ruben Neves from Wolves.
Phil Jones wouldn't play his own testimonial, man, even if he had one. That's how it. He dropped for his own testimonial. Anyway, so you're saying Ruben Neves against Wolves, against Leicester?
If they're to win or get something out of that game, I think they need the way that they control the ball is going to be very important, and that revolves around him. So I'm going to go with Neves from Wolves.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you said Ruben Neves. I'd go with Ruben Dias, actually. I was thinking that he's going to be key against Liverpool. Did they keep a clean sheet or not concede more than one? Because that's the only way they even think of winning. You could see more than one against Liverpool. The flurry the waterfall will start. I think only Leeds proved them otherwise. Perfect. Anything else, Shyam?
No, all good for me. How about you?
All right. I'm good. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a 5 Yard Pass podcast. My name is Suddy. This is Shyam. As always, keep football simple. And as always,
keep passing, guys. Cheers.